Now, I just received this comment, and I've gotten a lot of comments and questions very similar to that one. I've done a lot of videos about should you drive for Lyft and Uber? What is the income like? What are the logistics like? Should you rent a car or use your own? All these different aspects of the whole Uber and Lyft sign up process, and overall, is it really worth it to drive or not? And like I said, after doing all of these videos, I've gotten so many comments of people saying like, hey Mark, I've watched a bunch of your videos, but just give it to me straight. Is it worth it to drive or not? So in this video, I really want to give it kind of a raw, unabridged video of not me having all these kind of infographics flying in and out or different points I want to make, but just overall saying in terms of a very casual way, like say me and you are talking at a bar, for example, and you say, hey man, so is it worth it or not? Now, my best advice, honestly, right away, and most of my subscribers probably know what I'm about to say, and that is this: it really depends. Overall, when it comes to Lyft and Uber, times have never been more wavy and rocky and tricky in terms of navigating. There's so much going on. Like, I've never seen the ride-sharing world be so all over the place in terms of income, in terms of people liking Lyft and Uber or not. There's a lot going on. I just posted a video yesterday, actually, talking about how in Boston, they were proposing Uber and Lyft unions. There's so much going on with Uber and Lyft. My best advice, honestly, and again, this would be the same advice I give to my friend if we were sitting at a bar having a drink and they're like, dude, just tell me, should I even attempt it? My answer would be, first off, yes. The reason why is I find when it comes to Uber and Lyft, there's a bunch of different factors. Your location's a big one. I've talked about before a bunch. You know, if you have your own car or not, if you're going to rent, depending on as well if you're an independent contractor or an employee. Like here in California, we do have a minimum hourly guarantee in California. In other states, they don't have a minimum hourly guarantee. There's so much to it, but ignoring all the logistical aspects, which I've gone very in-depth into on a bunch of other videos, honestly, it really depends. For some people, depending on when your schedule, how you can drive, your car situation, your location, etc., you could sign up for Uber and Lyft, start driving, and be like, wow, I'm actually making really, really good money. Like, this is pretty awesome. For other people, you could sign up and drive and be like, you know what? Yeah, I'm making money. Like, you will make money, don't get me wrong, but you might be like, I don't think the money I'm making is worth it. The ROI, or the return on my investment of driving, just isn't there. Maybe I'm better off getting a side job. Because let's be honest, you're not driving for Uber and Lyft for most people. You're not driving for Uber and Lyft just for fun or something to do. You're doing it because you want to make money, whether it's for side cash, you want to save up for a vacation, maybe you just want to, I don't know, put something in your savings, maybe for whatever reason, you know, basically whatever your goal is. There are some people, I will say, I have met some people, typically, like, say, who are, like, in the elderly region, who I've met when driving, and they're like, I'm retired, I have nothing to do, I figured to drive for Lyft and Uber, and I get to talk to people and meet people, and it's kind of fun. Like, I don't care as much about the money as more of the getting out of the house, doing something, and having social conversations, and meeting people. And I think that's actually a great idea. Like, shout out to them, right? But for most people, I feel like getting into Lyft and Uber, you want to make money. And the biggest thing is not if you can make money, because you definitely can, but is it going to be worth it or not? And again, it really is tough to say until you try it. I know there's nothing worse than an ambiguous YouTube video, and I thought a lot about this video before doing it, because I've done a lot of videos about the Uber and Lyft sign-up process, about the income, about should it be a job or not, is it worth it or not, etc., and I've gotten really in-depth on those videos. So this is a very, like, casual, surface-level video that just in general, you're not going to know until you start driving, right? A big thing I suggest, and this is what I say to a lot of people, is sign up and get that sign-on bonus first. The reason why is, in case you didn't know, when it comes to signing up for both Uber and Lyft, the sign-up bonuses are pretty ridiculous. You do have to hit in certain metrics. So for example, with Lyft, it does depend. You may have to do, I think, about like 100 to 200 rides in your first 30 days of signing up. And huge pro tip, you have to use someone's code or referral link, kind of the same thing in a sense, in order to sign up. You can use mine in the description. You can use your friends. You can Google one. What I do suggest is if you are considering driving, first off, sign up, use someone's code or someone's link. That way you can get that bonus. The second thing, though, in order to ensure you get that bonus, is you have to hit that metric. Just clicking the link doesn't do it. So let's say click the link, sign up, you start driving, hit that bonus metric at some point. It might be 100 rides, maybe 200 rides, whatever it is. Typically, on average, I say to a lot of people, you will do roughly about 2 rides an hour, give or take. So let's say if it's 100 rides in the first 30 days, you have to do, like, say, 50 hours of driving or whatever. I think this is a good metric. And I'm not gonna lie, some of these sign-on bonuses can be $800, $1,000. They can be a lot of money, to be honest. And I think right now that's a good test. Because let's say this. Let's say you start driving for Lyft and Uber, you sign up, you're like, okay, I have to do 100 rides in the first 30 days of driving. You sign up, you do those 100 rides, and afterwards you're like, wow, you know what? After doing 100 rides, which I actually think is a very good metric, if we look at this from a statistics perspective, you're like, you know what? I actually made pretty good money. I enjoyed doing it. It's not too bad. Obviously, the flexible schedule is great. You know, the instant cash outs, of course, are great when it comes to Lyft and Uber. I'm gonna keep driving. Boom, that's great. But let's say you do 100 rides, and you're like, you know what? And it could be a bunch of things. Maybe you're not making that much money. Maybe you are making good money, but you just hate driving people around. Maybe you realize, you know what? Meeting people is cool, but I gotta say, like, being stuck in a car for hours on end and sitting down and everything, not my thing. I just did a video about the physical health aspect of being an Uber and Lyft driver, and being honest, sitting that long, not good for you whatsoever. So, like, there's a lot of different aspects to it, and I think that overall, and I know, again, I hate being vague on YouTube videos, but I'd rather be honest and vague than kind of give a half lie, half truth and be more specific. And that is, you don't know until you really try it, right? I think try it out, drive around, see if it works or not, and then go from there. That's really the best advice I can give, because right now in this day and age, especially now referring back to that comment, I think right now things are rocky. Like I said, things have never been more rocky, but it's weird because, and I've talked about this before in other videos, it's very polarizing. In some ways, I think it's never been better, actually, to be a rideshare driver. I know a lot of drivers might disagree with me on this, but depending on your situation, with the bonuses and things going on, especially with Lyft, now really ramping up their bonus systems and their income systems, I might even say to sign up for Lyft first, then Uber, as a big pro tip. Honestly, I choose Lyft right now, and just because of all the things that Lyft is doing. They have a new CEO, David Reisher. So with all these things going on with Lyft, and I think ride sharing now getting a lot more benefits that's been in the talk, like let's say here in California, like I mentioned as well, I think it's actually never been a better time in some ways, to be a rideshare driver. However, in other ways, I think it's never been a worse time to be a rideshare driver. It's crazy seeing how just all over the place the ride-sharing world is. And like I said, there's a million factors to the reasons why this is all going on. And I have done a lot of in-depth videos going to the very technical analysis and technical aspects of being a rideshare driver or not. But overall, because of all these factors being included, because I want to make this video very just like casual, not technical whatsoever, it really depends on so many different factors. And what that really equals is to sign up, maybe drive. If you like it, awesome. If not, no big deal. And remember too, you can sign up, drive, like say, get that bonus, and then quit. And then no big deal, right? But like I said, for me, I remember I was really on the fence when I first started driving. This is like years ago, of course. But I remember when I first signed up, I was like, I don't know if this is worth it or not. I'm going to test it out. And for me, I loved it. It worked perfectly with my schedule. I was able to make the money I wanted to. I was actually driving both part-time and full-time. I went back and forth here and there. And I was able to make the money I wanted to. And I was able to then have the time to put into music and YouTube and all the things I'm doing now, which is amazing. So for me, it worked perfectly. However, I knew other people who signed up, they tried it and they're like, you know what, man, it's just not worth it. I don't want to deal with it. It's kind of a hassle. Like, I don't like being in my car. I know some people were like, hey, I don't like meeting new people. Like, the whole social aspect is a hit or miss. For me, I loved it. I actually loved it. I'm also a former bartender. I'm naturally an extrovert. I know other people were like, yeah, I'm more of an introvert. And I just felt like people getting in my car kind of felt weird. Like all these new people constantly sitting in my car. It's just too weird or creepy or whatever for me. I can't do it. But like I said, like anything, and I feel like because there's a lot more factors to this, like anything, you really don't know until you try.